Tonight, Cowboys make the cut in NRLW expansion.
A teen faces court over an alleged attack on a Townsville mum.
A major road closed after a fatal incident.
And Royal Commissioners take a tour of Laverack Barracks.
This is 7 News with Rob Brough and Danielle De Pinto.
Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us.
Good evening.
Well, it's official. Our North Queensland Cowboys will enter a women's team in next year's NRLW season. The expansion from 6 to 10 teams was confirmed this afternoon, with our Cowboys one of the new sides.
Townsville is no longer a one-team town.
And from 2023, the Cowboys will be proudly part of a 10-team competition with the NRLW.
There'll be double the cheers as the Cowboys become one of 4 teams added to the NRLW from next year.
It'll take place over 11 weeks, so it'll have 9 rounds.
The Sharks, Tigers and Raiders will also join the competition. The ARLC fast-tracked the expansion after initially touting just 2 teams.
And ultimately the vision is for us to have a competition that has the same amount of men's teams and women's teams.
The Cowboys' inclusion has been 4 years in the works, setting up development pathways rather than pushing for a team in the comp's inaugural stages.
We did that with a view of being in 2023 and being able to see now the strength of those pathways coming through.
An area the NRL is now happy to showcase.
And we have over 1,000 in Townsville or the broader North Queensland area.
It's growing in Townsville, it's growing in Cairns, so that pathway is now paying, I suppose, a dividend.
The 2022 season kicks off in August and we'll see plenty of North Queensland talent running around in other colours. But the club can now turn its attention to bringing those girls home.
And one of the things that we will be very stringent on is welcoming regional Queenslanders and North Queenslanders into our side.
Joey Dunlop, 7 News.
A would-be car thief in Pimlico has been foiled by one slight problem. She couldn't quite work out how to start the luxury vehicle. Police say the 16-year-old confronted the Audi driver and stole the keys, but that's as far as she got.
Handcuffed and surrounded by police, it was the end of the road for this teen before she'd even got going.
All I saw was around the corner here to my left there was a lady being held on the fence by 2 policemen. They were just talking to her.
Police were called to Pegnell Street just before 5 yesterday evening after reports of an attempted carjacking.
Down the bottom there was 4 or 5 policemen with a paddy van and they were talking to a heap of people down there.
It's alleged the 16-year-old girl stole a woman's keys after threatening her with a knife in her driveway. But the teen couldn't quite figure out the Audi's push-button start and took off on foot. Officers say they spotted the girl trying to board a bus just down the road on Palmerston Street, but acted quickly, catching and cuffing the teen. The girl was refused bail and faced Townsville Children's Court today, charged with armed robbery and entering a premise with intent. Paige Van Lunteren, 7 News.
A crime scene was declared on Harvey Range Road, around 50 kilometres west of Townsville this afternoon, after a man died in his car around 2:30. It's understood he crashed the vehicle and then shot himself when a passerby came to help. Defence Force personnel were some of the first on scene. Police have closed the road in both directions. It's not expected to reopen until after 8 p.m.
Royal Commissioners have visited Townsville's Laverack Barracks to learn more about life on base. The inside look at the nation's largest army facility is just days before hearings into veteran suicide begins in the garrison city.
On the ground in the country's largest garrison city, the Royal Commission into Veteran and Defence Suicide toured Laverack Barracks.
And there's a number of areas that we're very interested in that we'll be able to have a look at here. In particular, as I said, the support that's offered both to servicemen and women, but just as importantly to the families.
So we've got the commissioners coming in to have a look at, and their program includes the medical centre, where they'll go through all the programs and support agencies available.
The visit to North Queensland is just days before the 5th hearing block begins in Townsville.
It's a great opportunity to provide a first-hand look into modern military life.
The Commissioner expects to receive increased interest from current and former serving Defence Force members this week.
Surge in numbers, both in submissions and in requests and contacts, engagement. People really become aware of the Royal Commission when you're in town.
Learning more about health services and support networks could help give crucial background for next week's testimonies.
Give context to the commissioners on service life and give them that background to some of the questions that they have.
Registrations are still open for the hearings, which start on Monday and will run until the end of the month. Lawrence Jeffcoat, 7 News.
Our lowest paid workers will get a pay rise on July 1, following a decision by the Fair Work Commission to increase the national minimum wage by 5.2%. Workers will receive an extra $1.05 an hour in line with current inflation, or around $40 extra a week.
These workers deserve more than our thanks. They deserve a pay rise, and today they've got it.
Award rates will also increase by 4.6%.
The state opposition says the city's health system is now in uncharted territory, with new Queensland health data revealing ambulance ramping is on the rise. At Townsville Hospital, 19% of patients waited more than 30 minutes to be unloaded from stretchers in March. That's up from 16% of patients in January.
It's not the fault of the AMBOs. It is the fault of a government that hasn't planned to deliver health services and that has allowed the health system to decline over the last 7 years.
Across the state, 42% of patients are left waiting on the ambulance ramp for more than 30 minutes.
1 in 6 older Australians is under threat, often behind closed doors and at the hands of trusted family members. World Elder Abuse Day revealed shocking statistics about the unacceptable treatment of seniors in the grip of financial control, abuse or physical isolation.
Aged care workers are rallying together to help elderly people who are trapped in a web of control, often held captive by their own children.
They ban them from using the kitchen, or they, lock them in their room.
World Elder Abuse Day highlights the harsh reality for around 15% of seniors.
Elder abuse can include financial, physical, emotional and or neglect.
Relationships Australia says the abuse that's reported is just the tip of the iceberg. Many victims don't know or don't want to believe it could happen.
People don't believe that they're experiencing abuse. And if they are, they often find it very difficult to talk about because it's often a trusted relationship, a family member, a neighbour, an associate, a friend.
Locals are urged to not turn a blind eye to uncommon behaviour and look for signs of ill treatment.
Just being aware that if they're looking anxious or fearful or unable to meet your eyes or start to say something and then stop.
If you or a loved one are experiencing mistreatment, you can reach out to Relationships Australia on 1300 364 277 for help. Sarah Benalik, 7 News.
Regional Queensland's music scene is expected to receive a major boost from next week's budget. $20 million will go directly to creating new music festivals to encourage road trips to all corners of the state.
A rave near the reef or an orchestra in the outback, they both sound like a great idea to boost regional tourism.
$20 million over 3 years. When you look at the size of our state, it's a really, really good investment. There's a strong focus, obviously, in regional areas.
Next week's state budget will put the money towards a road trip music festival hybrid, bringing events to the Sunshine Coast, Toowoomba, Mackay, Whitsundays, Townsville and Cairns from May next year.
We can make sure that we build this so people can go and spend a week or two in one region and then go to another.
So when they start in, for example, Brisbane, we want them to come up.
Artists outside the Big Smoke say the new festival trail is a chance to discover untapped talent.
A really good scene, just a little hidden, unfortunately, but I think with the right money coming through and some exposure for these guys, I think it would be a really good thing coming.
And give a much-needed boost to an industry still reeling from 2 years of lockdowns.
We all had a bit of a lull period, so it's good that they're investing money into actually bringing shows, and hopefully venues can bring some working musos back into venues as well.
They were absolutely hammered by COVID, so the opportunity to ensure that we get our live music back.
Lawrence Jeffcoat, 7 News.
Only to look forward to, eh? We'll take a break in a moment. Face masks come off at our airports.
And a mystery donor's surprise for a Townsville family doing it tough.
Townsville turns to 7 News to keep up to date on local issues, and we want you to be a part of it. If there's something happening in your street, your suburb, we want to know about it. Send us a message or drop us an email.
Welcome back to 7 News. Travellers will soon be able to unmask at airports across the state, with the Federal Health Minister recommending the mandate be lifted. The Queensland Government backed the move today. Sarah Court has more.
Danielle, State Health Minister Yvette Darth announced earlier this afternoon that staff, travellers and visitors will be able to take their masks off at airports across the state from this weekend. The Australian Health Protection Principal Committee, which is made up of all the nation's state and territory chief health officers, made the recommendation late Tuesday, claiming it was no longer proportionate to mandate mask use in airport terminals. They advised the states to ditch the mandate from as early as midnight on Friday. That move was today endorsed by the State Health Minister Yvette Darth, who said in a statement that the Queensland Government would lift the mandate in accordance with the AHPPC. But masks will still be mandatory on all commercial flights. Health officials say they're an important tool in protection from both COVID and the flu. Rob?
Thank you, Sarah. North Queensland resources sector heavyweights met here in Townsville today to share their vision for the industry's future. Policymakers and strategists focused on the opportunities to develop renewable energy in our region.
We've seen moves in Europe in particular really to accelerate the investment in renewable energies, and they don't have the resources to meet those demands.
They also looked at ideas to overcome the serious challenges facing the industry currently, including skill shortages and cost restraints.
A Townsville couple who have never owned a car have received a life-changing gift from a generous mystery donor. Tanya and Michael Grant both suffer from disabilities, but now they have their own flashy set of wheels to take their family from A to B.
Nobody knows that new car feeling like the Grant family.
Let's go. Come on.
Finally getting behind the wheel after years using public transport to get around the city.
You can imagine the struggle that it's been for them over many, many years, getting 2 kids around to their events through cabs, buses, etc. This will be a total life changer.
Mum Tanya suffered a brain injury in a crash when she was just 3 years old. Dad Michael has albinism and is legally blind.
I didn't really think I would get married or have kids, and I didn't really think I would marry a blind guy, and I did. Now I have to get let's go to the back.
The couple have never owned a car until now. The Rotary Club of Townsville pairing up with Townsville Auto Group and a generous secret donor to give the Grants the keys to a brand new Havel-Jolyon luxury SUV.
It's a fantastic car. It's packed full of safety features and it's going to be a fantastic vehicle for this family.
There's no arguments over who will be taking it for a spin.
I've been to drive.
Abby Gearin, 7 News.
That really is life-changing. Fantastic.
Oh, beautiful. And to everyone involved, the secret donor, legends. Well done. How good.
Kids loving that, aren't you? Ooh. Everyone involved, hey, that's terrific. As we heard earlier, mate, historic day for our Cowboys, Nate.
Oh, it was, Bruffy. North Queensland are one of 4 new teams to enter next year's NRLW, and now it's all about assembling a roster. We'll have plenty more on that next. And the Cowboys' deal to bring Luciano Leilua to the club earlier than expected isn't done just yet. And welcome back to 7 News. As we heard earlier, the Cowboys will enter the NRLW next year, and while a lot of North Queensland players will line up for different teams this season, it's hoped some will be back here for 2023. The Cowboys' BMD Premiership side, the Gold Stars, have a host of NRLW contracted players like Romy Teitzel, Emma Manzelman, Shania Power and Destiny Brill.
Most North Queensland kids grow up watching the Cowboys, and obviously everyone wants to play in the NRL, and that definitely wasn't a pathway, like you said, for women, and at the moment it is, and it's right here in our backyard.
The club's pitch to enter the expanded NRLW was to bring the likes of Townsville back to play in their home region.
We didn't want to put in a bid with a team here if all those ladies were going to be playing for Newcastle, Gold Coast, the Roosters. So I think without being able to confirm categorically that all of those girls will be back here next year, we'd like to think that.
Canberra, Cronulla and the West Tigers are the other new teams to make up the 10-team NRLW in 2023. Meanwhile, Cowboys football manager Michael Luck says they haven't yet signed Luciano Leilua for the men for the rest of the NRL season. Despite expressing interest to bring the West Tiger to the club immediately, Luck said there's plenty more that needs to be settled before Leilua heads north.
The West Tigers put out a statement yesterday. Luciano Leilua had signed with the Cowboys, but that isn't the case yet. North Queensland's made it no secret they want to bring the Tiger to town early.
We'd be keen to have him here for the rest of the year. There's a bit of water to go on the bridge to finalise all of that.
Yesterday's news the deal was done certainly came as a shock. The Cowboys have assured there's no cap pressure to sign him for the rest of the year.
We were approached yesterday morning by his current club to see if we had any interest in him coming early.
He'd just have to pass everything medically and get through potentially representing Samoa next weekend. But with long-term injuries to Mitch Dunn, Helam Lukey and Tom Gilbert, bringing Leilua early makes sense. Tom Dearden is also expected to have representative duties again after being the Maroons' 18th man in Origin 1.
To even be part of the preparation and watching the likes of Daly Cherry Evans and Cameron Munster and Ben Hunt prepare, it was a really good learning for me.
He'll have to put his learnings into practice this Friday, duelling with DCE at Brookvale.
Really looking forward to it. I think he's one of the best halves and halfbacks in our game, and I'm looking forward to the challenge of lining up against him.
Meanwhile, Griffin Neame could make his international debut, joining fellow teammate Peter Hiku in New Zealand's squad to face Tonga. Cowboys captain Jason Taumalolo has been named in Tonga's extended squad. Joey Dunlop, 7 News.
Well, this weekend will be make or break for the Townsville Heat in basketball's NBL 1 North season, and it's on their first doubleheader road trip of the season. The Heat slumped to their 6th straight loss on the weekend, despite the inclusion of NBL star Sam Froling over the past 2 weeks. They'll head south and play the in-form and second-place Mackay on Friday night. Then it's Rockhampton on Saturday. The Rockets have the mental advantage after claiming a 9-point win at the Furnace earlier this year. Froling will leave for Boomers duties, though. That's in 2 weeks, and coach Mark Roble is searching hard for a replacement to help save their season. And Jack Miller's time at Ducati will end at the conclusion of this MotoGP season, with the 27-year-old signing with KTM for next year. Miller inked a 2-year deal with the Red Bull-backed outfit after 5 seasons with Ducati. The Townsville riders had a mixed start to this season with 2 podiums, but sits 9th in the championship race after poor performances in Italy and Spain. The 10th race of the season will be held in Germany this weekend. And Danielle Bruffy, I'm sure the Cowboys' phones are ringing hot with the new NRLW team. What a moment for the region. How good, guys.
Plenty of talent up this way, mate.
Yeah, great stuff.
Yeah. Thank you, Dave.
We'll stay with us after the break. Livio has all the weather details.
G'day, Livio Regano with tonight's weather. Well, the weather pattern that put half of Australia into a week-long deep freeze has now passed, and Queensland's enjoying a well-earned stretch of balmier weather. The ocean trade winds do, of course, bring more cloud than those lip-cracking southerlies, but any showers this week should be very isolated. Last night got down to 14 degrees in Townsville, which is so much more pleasant than 10 the previous night. Today's top of 27 was also very agreeable, and most other stations followed the same trend. Let's look at the satellite loop now. You can see the trade wind pattern is back simply because we're getting to see the patchy cloud now in the Coral Sea. That's where the wind is coming from, having come from land for so many days before it finally started to turn around. So there is a bit of coastal cloud. Showers have been few and far between, amounting to less than a few millimetres in most cases, and generally most places had a day of fine weather. On today's chart, we have two high pressure systems now, both of them quite weak. One's way out to the Tasman Sea and another new one is moving over Central Australia. This zone between them is a zone of very light winds, which has made for a very pleasant day, though a little bit of cloud, slightly more of a southeasterly trade once we move north because the isobars are just that bit closer together. On tomorrow's chart, we're going to wake up to quite a bit of fog in the early morning simply because the isobar pattern is so open and the winds will be light. A very pleasant day though statewide, not that much cloud. On the outlook chart, now we start to see a light southerly change come through as this next high moves over, and by Friday and Saturday that'll bring the temperatures down a little bit. The boating forecast for Townsville water: southeast winds up to 20 knots tomorrow. On Friday could reach 25 knots at times, and on Saturday also between 15 and 25 from the southeast. Tomorrow's the last day of really big tides before the moon starts waning and swing starts narrowing. It's the night tide we're most concerned about. The daytime one's just a baby. Herbert and Albertican, some early fog and then a slight chance of a shower in the north only. Townsville 17 to 27 degrees. Ayr also 27 and Ingham 26. Northern Goldfields and Upper Flinders, some early fog, mostly sunny after that with Charters Towers reaching 26 degrees, a much warmer night, and Georgetown 32. Looking ahead for Townsville, steady temperatures in the high 20s for most of the week, with nights a few degrees warmer than what we've been used to, cloudy at times, but no rain for the 7-day period. Now it's back to the team.
And of course, if you'd like to watch anything again, catch up on our 7plus app or our page, 7news.com.au. See you tomorrow night. Good night.
Good night.